So, like I said, there's a ton of new stuff to talk about being built from the ground up. So, what I'm going to start with today is about our tracks, some of the lighting models, some of the physics and gameplay that you saw in the trailer. The tracks, as you saw, they just look. I think there's a true generational leap in the visual quality of all of the tracks that you saw. So they're built from the ground up. You saw some amazing new tracks, new to Forza, but also in particular Maple Valley that had been in Forza Motorsport since the first Forza Motorsport. And even there's some community videos that have shown like the evolution of Maple Valley since Forza Motorsport 1 through 2 through 7, and now even and showing some of the visuals from the new Forza Motorsport. And I think you can really, really tell just how much of a visual leap we've made just in Maple Valley, right? And it goes to show just how much quality we're getting out of the complete rebuild of all of these tracks. Laguna Seca is another great one. Like we showed that a while back at a previous E3, and I think you can tell like the visual quality there is incredible. It's been in Forza Motorsport since also the beginning. Laguna Seca has always been there. One of my favorite tracks. But as you see it in this trailer video, it just comes across as ultra realistic. We laser scanned the track, tons of new detail in the actual track itself, like the detail of the surface. And with all that laser scanning, with all the physics improvements that we've made, all of our tracks, whether they're new to Forza or whether they're returning, they're all new. They're all built from the ground up, and they look amazing and they drive amazing because of that. All these improvements we've made, whether it's laser scanning, whether it's all the physics improvements we've made. So I think you've seen it. The proof's in the pudding there. Tracks look incredible. They're all built from the ground up. Now our lighting model, we made a big deal in the demo about our real-time time of day, our dynamic time of day. It's a big deal, and I think we'll go in detail about it a little bit further. I hope to kind of touch on this a little bit further, but it's on every track. Our time of day, our new lighting model, something that wasn't really available on previous generations of motorsport, like time of day on every track. It is now there on every track. That's what these new systemics in how we've built these different tracks, and the systemic lighting model for us allows us to do that. And lastly, built from the ground up, we've talked about physics. You mentioned we talked about the suspension modeling. I think in the previous, it's a long time ago now. The last time I was on Forza Motorsport. It's been forever. What more is there to say about the claim that we made around 48 times the physics fidelity? It's true. Like you've heard it here before on stream. We have 8 points of contact per tire, where we had 1 per tire in previous motorsports, with 6 times the frequency per tire. So just doing the math there, 8 points of contact versus 1, 6 times the frequency updates. That's 48 times the fidelity. And that's on a per tire basis, right? So that's incredible to me, right? Yeah. And so when we talk about that, it's easy to like meme the whole 48 times the physics. But if you're here watching the show, you probably know that the tire model is the most important thing to get right. The most important thing in the physics modeling, right? So it's true. It's a 48 times jump in the fidelity of this modeling, the tire model. And what I can tell you, right, it's like, okay, that's great. It's this big jump in physics, but in reality, that means it feels incredible. It's the best driving experience we've ever had. That plus all the extensive improvements with suspension and weight modeling, and there's a whole host of other things we've talked about in previous Forza Monthlies. This is just the best driving experience we've ever had. It feels incredible. It still has that Forza feel because of all the amazing tuning that we've done. But at the heart of it is an incredible simulation. Nothing like we've had before. And I think everyone's going to be really, really happy when they get their hands on it. Yeah, ray tracing. There, I said it. If you're playing bingo at home, you can mark that one off. But ray tracing is here. It's on track, and most importantly, it's real time gameplay. Like I really want to make that clear. When we say on track, that doesn't mean oh it's only in replays or it's only in photo mode on track, and they're just being they're being funny with words. We're not trying to mislead you here. When you are racing, when you are playing the game, ray tracing is on. Like, I just want to be really clear about that. So when you're playing it, like I said, it's a level of immersion there that it can be subtle at times, but it's a thing that really just pulls you into the visual and the experience, unlike we've had before. So when we talk about ray tracing, yeah, it looks amazing. It looks photoreal. It looks super immersive. You get that in gameplay, and I just want to be really clear about that. In this trailer video, you're actually seeing some amazing stuff with ray tracing, but also something that I wanted to call out in non-gameplay, so not racing. We even have a full global illumination with ray tracing capability, and you saw actually some of that in this trailer. So once again, not gameplay, but in some cases, you can even see some amazing full global illumination with this real-time ray tracing. And I think that's incredible, right? So it just goes to show once again how far we've come from the ground up with our lighting and just with this ray tracing, about how immersive and how much of a visual leap we've made because of these new consoles and this new power that we have at our hands. Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, there's and we've had time of day in previous motorsports, but in this case, when we say fully dynamic time of day, full 24-hour day and night cycles, and it's on every track, and there's new dynamics in that as well. So I think you saw in the trailer, there's some fast forwarding through time where you can actually see this time of day transition. Like that's something that you can control in the game, right? So in previous things, you didn't really have that level of control. You're able to set things like, oh, we want 24-hour day-night cycles to be a certain, take this amount of time or that amount of time. We want it to be a full 24-hour time. These are things that you can now set, and we'll do a deep dive into kind of things like free play and other options here that'll really detail out, what those options are that are player facing that you can set. But once again, it's fully dynamic, and there's even additional things with accurate sun positioning, and weather. Like, we haven't really gone into details here, and we'll do that on a future Forza Monthly, where there's just so much here to kind of talk about and detail out, because it affects gameplay, right? This is the other dynamic that I think is just super, super meaningful to me. Maybe not to everyone listening, but things like, I touched upon in the demo video, these time of day changes actually affect the ambient temperatures on the track, right? It's this whole system, right? Sun comes up, it heats up the world, and things like the actual track temperature, like the actual track surface temperature, that changes in time, right? Like when the sun is out, it heats up the track. It changes how much grip you have on the track, right? Sun goes down, it cools the track, right? This happens. We're simulating all of this. So when you're driving, if you're going through a 24-hour day-night cycle, right, you're actually feeling these changes in grip over time. And I think I think it's really, really cool. And so that's just one of these new dynamics that we have in the game. We also have things like, I think I touched on in the demo, we got rubbering in this time around. So, anytime you're driving around, you leave a little bit of rubber on the track. The longer that goes, the stickier that racing line becomes. That's another thing that it's going to be changing over time, right? That new dynamic. So you add that, you add these track temp changes with time of day, and then the weather on top of all of that. You just have this changing gameplay of how you're approaching the track, the feel of the track as you're driving around it. And that just plays so well with all of these new tire dynamics that we have, whether it's the multiple tire compounds or whether it's the new fidelity there in the actual tire modeling. So yeah, time of day, it looks amazing. It's this cool new dynamic, but really when it comes down to it, like what it does for the gameplay is just, it opens up a whole new lot of depth, subtlety, and it's just great. It's just really cool. Yeah, one of the things that I think the team really loves about cars and racing is like the story. Like at the end of a race, the the cars after the end of a race have this. Like you look at it and you look
Hmm.
at all the details of like the wear and the dirt and the grime and the rubber that's been building up on the front bumpers and the wheel wells and you just it tells the story of the race, right? It tells the story of what happened, what you experienced, what these cars experienced, and this is what we're capturing with this entirely new car damage model, right? Every car has its own damage model, and you can see how much like the fidelity of like I said, the individual scratches are being reproduced. Like this is true. Like we're going to a level of detail here that allows the players to like look at these cars after a race or during a race, and like there's a story to be told there. Even down to some of the new wheel damage that we have, or the dirt and grime buildup, whether it's on the front of the car, the rear of the car. These little details just tell that an incredible story. So I I'm just super proud of this work, and it really just goes to show how much I think the team really just loves the racing, loves cars, and then loves how like these stories are told through both of those things. So yeah, the damage isn't just about like, oh, cool, hey, we're gonna run people off the road and it's gonna be amazing. Like we don't care about that, right? That's not what this is about. What it's about is being able to tell this story authentically, right? To really tell this racing story that you can only really get, I think, with this type of damage. And
Hmm.
anyway, I think it's super immersive, and I think it's super cool. Great question. So there's a whole host of new things, and I think you see some of this in the trailer. Just whether it's we talked about the time of day, the dynamics there, right? The amazing ray tracing that we've seen already, the damage that we've seen. Like these are all things that really help you really just
Hmm.
live in that moment. But additional things we've talked about things like tire and fuel management, multiple tire compounds. These are really important things that really bring that authenticism to the race. That level of immersion once again, right? You're really having to think about these things. As I'm using fuel, the car is changing its weight. I have to think about how much fuel I'm using. I have to think about the conditions of the tire. These are all super immersive. And you're feeling these over time, right? You're feeling the car changing. You're seeing the world changing. These are all elements that just really deepen the driving experience and, of course, then the racing
Absolutely.
experience. So in previous Forza Monthlies, we talked about having soft compounds, medium compounds, and hard compounds, right? And that's at the heart of these multiple tire compounds and tire strategy, right? So I think I touched on this earlier. Softer compounds, they're super grippy, right? They're super grippy and they wear really quickly. And our hard compounds, yeah, they're the opposite, right? They last forever, but they have the least amount of grip across the different tire compounds. As you're engaging in these races, right? You're thinking about how are these tires going to hold up over the race? How am I thinking about them? How can I build a better strategy to use these different tires in a way that might outdrive some of the competition here? It's a great new level of strategy and gameplay, right? That's just now in the game. And so when we talk about tire compounds, right? It's a new depth in car driving and racing strategy, right? So that pulls into our pitting strategy and things like how we deal with fuel management. So these are all new things that are we've talked about before, and we'll go into detail, like super detail, about how this all plays out, especially in our multiplayer on a further Forza Monthly. I think everyone will be super excited with those details. I think it's a lot of what people have been waiting for. Yeah, so I think if you're paying attention, there's 5 tracks that we showed off in this trailer, right? Maple Valley, Spa. I'm sure people recognize Rouge, Laguna Seca, of course, and Kailami, which is a completely new to motorsport, real life circuit. It's one of my personal favorites. It's a South African track. It's super flowy. It's got some technical parts of it, and it's got some really high speed parts of it. Really beautiful high speed corner, and tons of elevation changes. I think I think everyone's going to love this track. If you haven't seen it before or experienced it in somewhere else, like this is one of my favorite tracks. I'm really, really happy we brought this to the game. It's one of the things that our team has really, really been focusing on is how do these new tracks that we're bringing into the game, how does it affect the gameplay, right? It's not just about having name recognition. Kyalami may not be the most famous track, but it is one of the best driving tracks, in my opinion. I think in the team's opinion as well. For great racing, right? It's got a kind of a medium width track. The track width is about medium size, not too wide, not too narrow. It's got great opportunities for passing. It's got these great experiences and moments of elevation change and real flowy bits, technical bits. To me, it's like the perfect track for all the type of racing that we want in the game, right? So from touring cars to GT to DPI or prototypes, this is the type of track that really, it kind of highlights some real good racing across all of it. Really excited about Kyalami. I hope everyone here is too. It is one of my favorites. And another one that you saw, new to Motorsport's an original track, Circuit Hakone, really, really cool. It's a high-speed track. It's a circuit. I just want to be really clear about that. It is a GP circuit for us. And it shows off some of the, like, there's a good shot of it. Like in Maple Valley, we have these beautiful fall colors. Hakone takes place, or it's located in Japan, kind of close to Mount Fuji. And it's set in this wonderful time of year where you've got the cherry blossoms and they're falling, and it's such a romantic view of driving and racing. It's a wonderful track. So really looking forward to showcasing that off more. But yeah, we built Hakone with visuals in mind, but also with great gameplay in mind. Talked about that a little bit with Kyalami, but it's just a commitment that the team has been making that we are trying to bring to motorsport, is that these new original tracks that we have, they really are about, yes, great visuals, but most importantly, like the racing, the actual experience on track that's there. And I believe Hakone's got it. It's great. So I can't wait for everyone to see more of that and actually drive it. 5 tracks. Like we are not just, we're not like releasing the game, a couple weeks or a month from now, but you've already seen 5 tracks, 2 of which are completely new to the game and the series. And I think that's really important. Like we have a bunch more tracks to show off, and there's going to be new tracks as well. Amazing. So we got a ton of time, and we're going to go in depth about all of these new things that are coming. And that's just on the track side. So I'm super excited about what we've shown. They look amazing, and they drive amazing, right? So on the car front, wow, talking a lot here.
That's what the people want.
Yeah. So I think there were about 37 cars shown collectively between the trailer and the demo videos, right? If you go to their website, it shows all of the different cars that we've shown, like 37 cars. And of those cars, this early, once again, we're super early in terms of showing all of this content, but we've shown 37 cars already. And a bunch of them are new to motorsport. Like never in a motorsport game have you been seeing these cars before. And this is so early already. So this is indicative of where we're going with our cars. It's a small sampling, but it should give you an idea of what we're building, what we're focused on, and the car list that you should expect to see when we launch, right? So lots of GT cars in there, lots of new GT cars in there, some new DPI cars in there. I personally love that the AMG GT3 is in there. Like that's one of my favorite cars. It's a beautiful car. It kind of harkens back to the Viper kind of body style, the Daytona Coupe body style. It's one of my favorite kind of silhouettes there. Love that AMG. It's from 2018, and it's one of the older new cars that we showed. Like that's incredible to me. How many of these cars are completely new, not just to motorsport, but super modern and super focused on motorsport. So that I just want to be clear. Like we did choose these cars to kind of show off like where we're going and hint about like, we're focused on modern, we're focused on motorsport, and I hope this gives you, if you're watching now and thinking about, what cars can we expect, I hope this gives you a taste of where we're going, and I hope we can deliver that, across the entirety of our car list. So expect a deep dive on that car list when we get closer to launch, but until then, I think this should give you a little bit of a teaser about where we're going there.